What's up, guys? Little happy hour Friday afternoon draft. Joey 2 times is scared. Don't be scared. We're here to guide you through this happy hour. How are we doing, Pat?
Doing good.
I mean, it feels weird asking you this, not on the ship chasing, but I mean, you've had a few tweets, but I mean, give the people your PR statement after the Rojo game last night.
The thing is, I mean, as we've covered extensively on ship chasing, I moved last month, so I'm in a new apartment, and I'm just screaming so loud as all the Rojo stuff's going on. And I mean, when he scored that touchdown that they said
bullshit.
Was a drop, my first reaction, because I was worried they were gonna snap the ball and not challenge it, so I'm screaming, "Challenge it!" So I having to keep myself under wraps. Brittany was getting a little bit nervous with my screams. I was like, when he went for that long touchdown at that point, I was trying not to scream, and I'm just going like, "Gah." So yeah, it was a good night for me as a hardcore Rojo truther, and we have a lot of them in our high stakes league, so it was a good night for those teams too.
I will say, Pat, I mean, Leonard Fournette looked really good on that kneel down when he came in there for that kneel. I mean, just perfect textbook form on the kneel down.
The form was really nice, and Brady, you could tell Brady trusted him to kneel down.
Yeah, that's the thing about him. So what we're going to do today is we are going to hop in this best ball resurrection draft. And if anyone wants to hop in with us, I have no idea how quickly these ones fill. I'm going to go ahead and just pull the trigger here. We'll see how many people we need. Oh, it is close to filling. So if you want to join us, there's 4 more spots. But Pat and I actually just did a best ball draft on the Fantasy Football World Series on Wednesday night. And I believe this kicks off in week 6. So we are drafting rest of season week 6. But otherwise, Pat, it's the exact same format as the Underdog drafts throughout the offseason, 18 rounds, half point, PPR, same roster setting. So we've been kind of looking ahead now, but this will be fun to look at with fresh eyes on how these values are going to shake out.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. I haven't done one of these, and I was curious to get your thoughts because, we like to go 0 running back in our high stakes portfolio, or we'll take 1 elite running back and then move to wide receiver typically. But in the Underdog format, because it's half point PPR and because it's only 18 rounds and because there's no waiver wire, I had drafted a lot of those teams as as hyper fragile, where you just take like 3 running backs and then you're done. I think that strategy, my first instinct, but I want to get your thoughts, is that maybe hyper fragile is even more powerful here now because we know more about the running back backfields, and obviously there's always the potential for injury and things to get shaken up further, but we're getting a lot more information that I trust about how these backfields are going to shake out for the season. And so there's maybe less value in some of these later round running back stabs, but wanted to see what you think about that.
No, I agree with that completely. And, the whole thing about 0 RB working at the beginning of the season is that uncertainty and having the runway of lots of weeks for things in chaos to break in your favor. But now we're in week 6 and we do know what these teams want to do. I think the only tricky thing is now navigating some of these injury situations and how you play these guys that, guys like, Nick Chubb and Austin Eckler, how far do they fall? And even guys like Devontae Adams and Michael Thomas and Julio Jones, who are banged up right now. I think the fact that just those 3 stud wide receivers alone are in a little bad shape. Same with Chris Godwin, too, that it does push you toward hammering these running backs early. But we did discover in our draft the other night, the running backs still get gross really fast.
They do, and that's why I like the idea of the hyper fragile, because you just have to take 3 of them and you hope you pick the right guys, and then you can take a bunch of wide receivers. And I think in part because there's injuries to the guys you mentioned, maybe there's discounts on some of those guys. There are pretty high weekly ceilings, I think, that'll be available in rounds like 4, 5, 6 at the wide receiver position. Also, tight end is going to be an interesting one because tight end gets really, really gross really, really quickly. So,
yeah. The draft we did the other night was tight end premium. This one, obviously, regular tight end. You can only end up starting 2 total because you'd have 1 in your tight end, 1 in your flex. So tight end isn't quite as premium here, but it's still something. Pat, we drew the 101. So
all right.
Is it Kamara? The ADP is very efficient. You can already see that we got Kareem Hunt up here in the top 12. I mean, this is real-time ADP. I think for me, it's Kamara. Is there anyone else in the conversation for you? Zeke, probably, right?
Zeke's definitely in the conversation for me. He just has an even bigger workload. And the other thing with Kamara is that some of his monster workload, I think, has been driven by Thomas being out. He'll be back. So you could see Zeke ultimately being the better pick, but we just took Zeke 101 in the draft that we did the other night. So I don't mind going Kamara here.
Yeah. And the only other thing too, is I saw Adam tweeted about this morning, Cowboys down another offensive lineman again this week. I mean, Zeke's workload is insane, but that offensive line's a little banged up, and Kamara just has such a sick combo of floor and ceiling right now in that offense. Although, do you think his workload ticks down once Michael Thomas comes back?
I do think it ticks down somewhat. Yeah. Just because so much of it's based on those short receptions, and Thomas, he set the record last year for that.
Yeah. Make Kamara great again. We have drafted Alvin Kamara. It is fun to do these drafts too. And it's good to gauge the kind of the landscape and how everyone is feeling about these players here through a few weeks. Derrick Henry going ahead of Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I don't know if I could stomach that myself.
Yeah, I want CEH there for sure.
Yeah. Christian McCaffrey going at 1.7. This is one of those where he went, like back end of the draft?
Back end of the first, yeah.
Yeah.
But that actually was surprising to me. Here, I think, is a fine pick, the 107, but in that draft, it was just for the next 4 weeks. And so McCaffrey, I don't think was a very strong first-round pick there. Who did he go to? Probably Waz, because the whole show was just dunking on Waz for
Poor Waz.
Poor Waz.
All right, let me get this draft board up in this separate window, and we can go a little smaller here. We can see them all get situated. There we go. Yeah, so Devontae Adams, the only Hopkins went too. I mean, in this, it is too, like, I guess if it's starting week 6, you get a little advantage drafting Packers and Lions in that you're going to get the full season of games from them as the only teams that have had buys.
Yeah, that's true. Hopkins went. Did Sanders go?
Mark Andrews?
No. Miles Sanders.
Yeah. All the tight ends are available here. Let's see. We were talking about hyper fragile. So to me, there's a pretty big teardrop after Miles Sanders and Chris Carson, although maybe I need to rethink how I feel about James Robinson.
Yeah. And what about James Conner?
Where did he go? He must have gone.
He went. Oh, he did go. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, that's true. Steelers have had their bye now too. It's yeah. Jonathan Taylor. Yeah. He went at the end of the first round. In these contests, you're trying to get first, $5,000 to first. And, Jonathan Taylor's workload hasn't been what we've wanted it to be, but he's still a guy that could just finish the season incredibly strong. So I certainly see the appeal. So Miles Sanders and Carson do go. Pat, are you still wanting to go hyper fragile here?
Well, I like the idea. We could screw over everyone at tight end and just go Kittle Kelsey.
I was thinking that. I mean, I was also looking at this. Who just went here? Ridley goes. I was also thinking we could double tap like Metcalf and Lockett and like try to just go scorched earth with the Seahawks if they continue to cook. But Kittle seems like a smash here.
Kittle does seem like a smash.
Kelsey did go, but yeah, let's draft Kittle, and then I mean I don't necessarily like double tapping tight end here just in this format.
I would have done it with those two just because they're the clear top two. I think the move is probably Lockett.
Yeah, do you still prefer Lockett over Metcalf rest of the season?
With the half PPR, maybe it is Metcalf. I'm fine either way. Yeah.
It looks like the drafters are split on it too, with a slight preference to Metcalf. Let's go Metcalf. That's a pretty grown-ass man start right there. Literally, the number 2 in my grown-ass man power rankings, DK Metcalf and George Kittle, and we got him.
Nice.
Ryan Stewart asks, what's the buy-in for this? It's $5. It's a new contest that they just spun up, the Best Ball Resurrection, $5,000 up top. You can get off a bunch of these drafts. And again, it's the same format as the Best Ball Mania tournament earlier this year. It's just it starts in week 6. Why not Thielen there? More passing volume for the Seahawks, I'm assuming. Yeah, I mean, when I go and look at my Best Ball rosters in the ranks right now, all the teams where I have Seahawks stacks are near the top. I mean, it's really hard not to want to just go all in on this offense, Pat.
Yeah, even to go like with Kittle was a little tough just because we could have gone with Lockett and Metcalf and then hopefully come back and get Russ here. I think he'd be fine on the 4-5 turn.
The ship chasing guys have made it over to this stream. Is Underdog Crank Purple 1.5 or standard? No, it is standard for tight end. And I mentioned it earlier. You can only start 2. It's best ball, but you can get 1 in your tight end spot and 1 in your flex. So it's not like FFPC where you can get 3 tight ends there, Grimace style every week.
Yeah, and even though it's half point PPR, not 1.5 for the tight ends, there is an advantage to having an elite tight end. I think it's one of the edges in best ball historically is to have an elite tight end, both because it provides a weekly ceiling that other teams aren't really able to make up. Like there aren't other tight ends that can do what Kittle just did last week. It's very rare. There's only a few guys with that weekly ceiling. But the other thing is then you only have to take 2 tight ends in total, which can be an advantage, especially on Underdog where you have only 18 rounds. So the roster spots are at a premium.
Yeah, and I agree with you. I think based on Kittle's talent and workload in this offense, I don't view him much differently than DeAndre Hopkins and Devontae Adams, just in a vacuum of the amount of points you're going to get. Yep. Do you feel, or do you have those guys that tick ahead of Kittle still in a vacuum?
No, I think especially with the best ball draft because of in a vacuum, I guess I have them ahead slightly. Yeah. But
it's close.
It's very close. And then to get the best ball advantage of the dominant tight end and, the roster construction it allows you, I prefer him.
Yeah. Let's see here. Yeah. So Sean out of, what is that? 12, 11, the 9 hole did go the hyper fragile Hunt, Mixon, Drake. It's, I have a hard time pulling the trigger on Drake, but if you are going to lock yourself into a construction, and we'll see if he stays away from running back the rest of the way, which I definitely would recommend he do after that start, that'll be interesting. We also have BP3123 did it as well. Henry, Carson, Melvin.
Right. And it is interesting. You see just how different the running backs go. Ben Gretsch wrote up a recap of our draft the other night, and he was talking about this, how you just see, a guy like Kareem Hunt's now a first-round pick. Just the massive shakeups in some of these running back values. James Robinson here in the second. It just goes to some of the stuff we were talking about preseason where you see guys really, really shift in value in huge ways.
I know it's interesting. Like, look at those 3 running backs that went there at the end of the first: Kareem Hunt, Jonathan Taylor, Josh Jacobs. Like, they all fit a different kind of profile, and that Kareem Hunt is stepping into a smash role over these next few weeks while Chubb's at. You got Jonathan Taylor, who you were banking on to finish the season incredibly strong. And then you have Josh Jacobs, whose workload is kind of probably going to be steady unless something crazy happens. And it's kind of just your preference of how you want to play this.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think the Kareem Hunt one, I mean, I guess you're sort of, I don't know. I actually don't. I think that's a fine pick at this point because, even you're going to get value from him throughout the rest of the season. And you're banking on some huge weeks while Chubb is out.
So looking at things here, I don't think we need to mess around with tight end. We don't have Russ available, although Dak still here is kind of interesting. Dak available.
What wide receivers are available?
So you have Lamb and I assume Gallup too. Yeah, Gallup's way down here. So we could go for a stack there. The running backs feel pretty flat to me. But how are you leaning? I would say we're probably double tap wide receiver or grab Dak. We're running out of time.
Oh, we're up. I think we take DJ Moore.
Okay. Shit. Do you mind getting DJ Moore and Dak?
Let's do it.
Hang on. I might have squeezed. Oh, I did get DJ Moore in there. So we're good. We have 25 seconds now to decide.
That was really some nimble finger work there.
Thank you. I have a lot of practice.
I kind of like AJ Brown here because we'll get him healthy heading into week 6.
That's interesting. Yeah. So they're supposed to play. Do you think he's going to play on Tuesday if that game goes?
It sounds like he's leaning towards playing, but we don't even need him.
I mean, we kind of. Oh, you're right. You're right. It's after week 6. That's a very good point. Yeah. And DJ Moore, that fall there that's way too reactionary, I think, to what's happened so far.
He's, I think, 8th in Whopper right now. He's getting a huge workload. Like the Robbie Anderson looks awesome. I think he's like 14th. This is all off the top of my head. But Robbie Anderson's a top 15 wide receiver in terms of his Whopper is Josh Hermsmeyer's metric that looks at weighted market share of air yards and market share of targets. And so it's basically like your workload combined with targets and air yards. And DJ Moore, I believe, is wide receiver 8 and Anderson just a few spots back. So the point is that it's a very consolidated offense, not that Anderson has stolen Moore's role.
Yeah. No, I hear you, Willis. Dak was in the conversation for me there. I think if we had a more seamless stack, like if we were able to double tap Amari Dak there, I think we could have pulled it off, but I don't know. How are you feeling about that? Because Dak is, I guess it really comes down to, if you think the Cowboys continue to do what they've done, we messed up not taking Dak. If we think that they're not going to be in these 500-yard passing shootouts every week, then we might have made the right decision.
Yeah, and you also get, if we end up going 3 quarterbacks here, then we can maybe catch some ceiling. Like there's guys like Herbert who finish out the season really strong in terms of their schedule, and he's shown some really nice ceiling so far. Dak's very likely to outscore him in any given week, but if you take 3 and you get them cheaper, we don't have to give up the opportunity cost. I mean, that's a pretty big opportunity cost.
Yeah.
Here, and when I have a lot of Dak in these best ball drafts, but you were able to get him more like in the 6th, and you could, or even, 7th.
Yeah. And I do think we need to be conscious, even though it's mid-season, we still need to take first in this. So stacking is going to be key here. We obviously don't have Russ with DK, but Garoppolo's on the radar. Robbie Anderson and Teddy Bridgewater are firmly on the radar. And of course, Ryan Tannehill is also here. So those are things we should be thinking about as we head towards the back end of this draft.
Yeah.
Chubb goes.
We could also.
Oh, Robbie already went.
Breeze.
True.
I think Kelly's a good pick there.
We got E. Hill going true 0 RB. Devontae Adams, Michael Thomas, Julio Jones, buying the dip on the injured wide receivers, Allen Robinson, Cooper Kupp, and then hits Joshua Kelly there. Nice 0 RB build if that's the way you're going to go. We do get sniped on Ronald Jones.
Yeah,
here.
I'm sure you're devastated, Pete.
I like this team. Nick Nukes. I mean, Hopkins and Diggs, two of my favorite guys. He gets Mark Andrews here in the third. Seems like nice value. Mike Evans, Singletary, Ronald Jones. I mean, that's real nice. Yeah,
that's a nice build. What running backs do we have available to us? This might be a time to try to go back in there.
What do you think about Leonard Fournette? Give him the old star?
Yeah,
How are people taking Leonard Fournette here? That's
that's so gross.
So, what do you think of Mike Davis, man?
Well, I don't think he's going to have much value to close the season out.
I know, but he might be. I don't mind betting against, as much as we want for our FFPC team, we want Christian McCaffrey back. I don't mind being pessimistic about injury returns. And you're going to get a few bell cow weeks from him here, which he just seems in a class above.
I think if we want to win money, we should take DeAndre Swift. That's the pick that wins us this league potentially.
So I do like to win money. You make a very big, we've been talking Miles Sanders DeAndre Swift could be this year's Miles Sanders.
Well, people got mad at me because I compared Kerryon Johnson to Jordan Howard. And I get why they got mad now that we've seen Kerryon Johnson
one pick before us.
Oh.
So, I mean, I say
this sucks. Maybe we keep. What else do we have?
How about we go Debo and then look to? Do you want to then try to get?
I don't like a Debo. He didn't practice today.
Yeah, but we don't need him this week. Remember?
No, that's true. Okay.
I just have him in there because we're gonna get timed out. So I just thinking we set up for the Jimmy Garoppolo double stack in 49ers finishing.
Do we have like? Could we go Watson and try to get a Cooks on the way back?
Yeah, we could. I think Watson is a nice play here. Cooks is available. Yeah, why don't we? Let's go Watson.
Do that.
He's definitely I think undervalued right now. I don't even in DFS this week. People don't seem like super excited about Watson. I think everyone got burned by Cooks last week, and they're just so fed up.
That was the chalk stack.
Yeah.
Justin Jefferson here. That's interesting.
Wait, you guys draft to make money? I draft to make ideological statements. Pat had to remind me our goal was to win money here.
I'm really bummed that we didn't get Swift. I think he would have been a smash there.
Yeah, we definitely do. We're going to have to. This is not the hyper fragile build.
No,
we're talking about.
I mean, if any.
This looks like our normal teams.
This is exactly what we normally do. Yeah, we talk about how we're going to do what we. But I mean, it's so hard when Kittle comes back to 212. And then, what are you supposed to do?
I do think
we're seriously supposed to take Melvin Gordon and Kenyon Drake?
No,
it can't be done.
No, screw that. We're not doing that. We are not doing that. The nice thing is we can. I'm completely comfortable with a modified 0 RB team, and we just got to make sure. I mean, ideally here we're getting, Cooks and a running back, most likely, I believe, would be the ideal.
Yeah. I continue to like this team here that took Ronald Jones because they just took Austin Eckler, which I think pairs well with what they're trying to do.
Yeah.
They're betting on Singletary and Jones now, but you'd have to think that those guys maybe aren't the running backs you want to be starting at the end of the season, or certainly they have low floors for the end of the season. Eckler has a very high ceiling for the end of the season, so it's a nice pairing.
Man, isn't it interesting to see? Now we got, I mean, if you look at drafts from the summer, Zach Ertz would go in the 5th round, Jonnu Smith would go in the 11th, and now they're both going in the 7th.
Yeah, it is interesting.
The moral of the story is we do not know much when we draft. That's for sure.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing, right? It's like everyone's like, who, you drafted your 3rd wide receiver. That's your wide receiver 3. And it's like, I only need to start 3 wide receivers, so I'm not taking another wide receiver, or you're not drafting your starting lineup. You're drafting a bunch of players, then you're going to be completely wrong about many of them. So it's a different mindset.
What's up? I am RPG. Pat and I are drafting on Underdog Fantasy. They just spun up a new midseason best ball contest. I believe it's called the Resurrection, Best Ball Resurrection. It's only $5, $5,000 up top. It's a fun way to see how the market is now valuing all of these guys 5 weeks, 4 weeks into the season. So we're kind of getting our feet wet here. Pat and I don't have a big board or anything. We're just throwing a few drinks back and figuring it out as we go, which is kind of our MO.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we're paying $250 to figure out what the new ADP is. I'm okay with it.
No, it is good. And like, I like bouncing back and forth from this stuff. I love doing a midseason best ball draft and then playing DFS. And then I'm going to go listen to Pat and Leone and Silva talk about their redraft for rookie drafts. Like, recalibrating helps you across all of these different formats if you're playing them.
Yeah, that was really, thanks for plugging that. We did on Establish the Edge. We just had Silva on and redrafted the first round, actually beyond the first round because there's too many good rookies. We just redid the rookie drafts for the 2020 class. So that was pretty cool. And yeah, you're like with that, it's all kind of similar where you're trying to not go crazy and get swayed by a small sample and abandon everything you thought beforehand. But at the same time, if you don't update your priors, you're going to get left behind because there is quite a lot of signal that we got from these first 4 weeks here.
So Pat, he's not quite DeAndre Swift in that he doesn't have the floor that he does, but J.K. Dobbins fits that mold of a guy who could just finish the season ridiculously strong.
Yeah, I think J.K. Dobbins and Zach Moss are both interesting here. I think Cam Akers is interesting here.
Is Akers? Oh, yeah, Akers is there.
And those guys are all pretty interesting. I think Dobbins is the most interesting.
Oh, or do we want to do Cooks to make sure we get one stack here? Who do you think's the most interesting?
Dobbins.
Yeah, okay. And then
Cooks is ADP 120. Is there a chance? I mean, that's right at our next pick, right? So we kind of risking it.
I don't think he's going to make it. I think if we want him, we grab him now. We probably shouldn't go Watson unstacked. We're going to have to go Cobb and Stills if we don't, which isn't.
I don't want to do that. Let's do Cooks. Let's do Cooks.
All right.
I like Dobbins there a lot, though.
Yeah, and because we kind of had to cut Pat off there. If you guys haven't subscribed to that podcast, they're doing Establish the Edge. That's Leone and Pat, and you guys are doing it weekly, and they're talking about lots of different interesting stuff. You guys will do like an episode about, targets per route run and how that might be a predictive metric. You might switch over and talk about, new dynasty values. It's a fun companion piece to kind of the in-season grind. It's a nice change of pace to back up and think about things from a more macro sense.
Yeah, we're actually going to be on the Establish the Run feed this week, that episode. So you should, you'll hear it, but do go over and subscribe to Establish the Edge. That way you can get all of it.
Well, there we go. Scott Boyd. I like the way Pat thinks. Remind me where his content is at Patrick Kerrane on Twitter. You can follow us on Ship. Did I mess it up? Pat Kerrane?
Yeah, it's just Pat Kerrane.
All right. Maybe your Gmail is Patrick.
That's why no one can find me.
I'm going to say your Gmail address now. You can find Pat and I do a weekly show on Ship Chasing. Actually, we've been doing lots of shows on Ship Chasing. Pat does a stat chasing show. I have the links in the show notes below if you're watching this you're on Periscope. But if you go to the YouTube, Ship Chasing, you can find us and then Establish the Edge. Is there anything else I'm missing that you're doing, Pat?
That's it. I've got dynasty rankings and stuff to establish a run. But yeah, if you want to hear me talk out my thought process, then the best place is Stat Chasing because I'm running solo there with some graphs that Sam Hoppin puts together for us, and just going through the stats of the previous week. So
yeah, we that's a must-watch show. The two things that I watch in the week before or read and listen to before I start doing all my DFS research, I read Ben Gretch's Stealing Signals newsletter, and I watch Pat's Stat Chasing, and it will give you the base and the framework for how to think about the upcoming week, whether that's start sit, for season long, whether that's DFS plays, it's understanding how things are getting shaken up from a usage standpoint, snaps, air yards, routes run, all of that good stuff that you need to stay ahead of the competition. Stat chasing and stealing signals are my go-to. All right here. Wow. Robert Tonyan going in the 9th round. A man who went undrafted. I'm old enough to remember when I was taking Jace Sternberger.
I really like the Noah Fant pick, who went 1 pick after us. I like that a lot. I do think that we're getting in the position where we might want to take that second tight end. I would like to see who's available, I guess, but otherwise we might even have to take. I don't want our second tight end to be real gross, because then in that case I want to take 3 usually, even though we have Kittle. Evan Ingram would be great. Yeah, that'd be great.
I do forget that we do have snakes in the waters, but he does go right there, right on cue to the team we like. Nukes.
Yeah, I like this team.
Rojo, Eckler.
He took
Brady,
Akers too.
Akers, Ingram. That's a nice team.
See, look, you got Evans and Rojo with Brady. Yeah. I like that. Because sometimes people only think of stacking with the wide receiver, but you can do it with the running back too, because you're betting on the offense.
Yeah. And, I was kind of pounding the drum for adding Keyshawn Vaughn this week. Part of that was because I didn't think Fournette was going to be active. I mean, he basically wasn't active. And he still played. Keyshawn Vaughn played every 3rd and 4th down snap for the Bucs. So I still think, and what Pat and I have been saying all along is, if this backfield condenses to just Ronald Jones and Keyshawn Vaughn, they both can be fantasy assets. Keyshawn Vaughn.
Yeah, but Vaughn hurt his case with that fumble. I think Fournette gets a chance to play that role a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm also pretty sure that I read Brady's lips and he said, "Get me a running back who can fucking catch." Which isn't good for either Jones or Vaughn. But luckily, Jones looks pretty damn good as a runner. So he might be somewhat insulated there.
We are up. Zach Moss is our smash, right?
Zach Moss is the smash, but let's look at tight end. Is there anybody there?
We got Ebron is kind of interesting.
Willis mentioned Goddard as potential. I think we would wait. Yeah. All right.
Do you think
about other running back?
What do you think about going Ayuk and just trying to go like Voltron 49ers?
I like it. Let's do it. Ayuk could caught my eye too.
Yeah. So
when do we need to get Jimmy? Probably on the next one.
Yeah, the next one we have to.
With this much invested in that offense, we need to get him. All right, we got some snakes here. We're not playing the Jimmy G highlight reel if you take them. Only if we take them.
Producer, roll the Jimmy G highlight reel. It's a 3-second clip, but we do have it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is the Fournette thing. It is really the question. I wanted Vaughn to have a good game last night, not at the expense of Rojo, but just to solidify himself as the guy ahead of Fournette and McCoy, and just make Rojo Vaughn backfield, because those guys can work in tandem in this. Like it could be Jonathan Taylor and Nyheim Hines. Like that's what it could be.
Yeah, although Wilkins is involved there, so let's not have it turn out like the Colts backfield.
Yeah, I was conveniently forgetting that Wilkins did 10 carries.
Taylor's snap count is like 43%. It's terrible. Yeah. No, but it could be kind of a reasonable split.
Hey, it will be. It will be. I was just, my old instincts, Pat, I was about to taunt people to take them, and I was like, you know what, I won't.
Yeah, although there's a real ceiling on how mad you can be about getting sniped on Jimmy G.
All right. I fucking dare you to take Jimmy Garoppolo. I goddamn dare you. You cowards. No one will take Jimmy Garoppolo. Wait, what is going on? Corey Davis? Now. Corey Davis is getting drafted?
Corey Davis is on the COVID list.
Wow.
Although maybe it's the week 6 play, you know? I saw the J. Look at there. I feel like people are messing with us, so they're taking all the J quarterbacks.
You just make your heart skip for a second.
For sure. Where did Hunter Henry go?
Let's see. He went in the 8th round.
That's a nice value.
Yeah.
I think Hunter Henry's pretty undervalued right now.
I do too, because he was crushing there for a few games and then just had a down target game last week. I didn't look into it. Did you have any reason for why he didn't? Was it because they had some of those long touchdowns and didn't have the longer drives?
Well, Keenan Allen is just getting like an insane portion of their offense right now. So when Keenan Allen just gets that much volume, it's obviously going to suck a lot of it out. But Hunter Henry in week 2 was getting targeted on a really high rate of his routes, which is really nice to see. That was his first game with Herbert. I think that Allen has just got to regress down a little bit. And when he does, I think some of that will go to Henry. And I'm also thinking that shorter targets are now opening up with Eckler out. So you could see Henry benefiting from that if Allen ends up soaking up some of those and maybe he gets, some of the short stuff that they would normally have going to Eckler. I don't think Kelly's going to end up taking over that full role. And I don't think Jackson is necessarily that strong of a pass catcher.
Yeah, Racef had asked if Justin Jackson went. He just went here at the beginning of the 12th round. Drew Brees goes. Nice little stack for Nick Nukes. Man, I like this team. He gets Emmanuel Sanders and then comes back with Drew Brees to pair with his Michael Thomas. Or no, he didn't have Michael Thomas, but still, that's a nice stack there.
Yep.
Dallas Goedert does go here.
What are we looking at? Let's put a queue together since we keep panicking when we're on the clock.
I was trying not to, you would have to take a ton. You would have to be a true asshole to Jimmy Garoppolo right now.
Yeah, you really would.
You would really have
Ryan Tannehill goes. All right, now I'm like legit nervous. I would be okay going with Herbert here. I know it'd be like unstacked, but we could always come back and get like Guyton or Mike Williams.
I honestly think if we know we're getting Garoppolo here and we're also reaching and we already have Watson, like the way
we already have Watson. Sorry, I forgot. No, we don't need another quarterback.
I think we're running back or tight end.
Okay.
All right. We are very close. So let's take all right, we're going to get Garoppolo. I'm going to bide our time here. Yeah, running back's real gross. I don't mind Logan Thomas. We could also, do you have a read on like Akins, Fells, like rest of the season if we did want to add another stacking option with Watson?
I don't like either of those guys very much. I like Fells better because I think he's been more involved when on the field, but Akins plays ahead of him. So I don't like either one very much.
Okay. All right. We got 20 seconds here. I mean,
we could go Logan Thomas and then just call it at tight end. He's at least we got a quarterback change there. He's getting the volume.
There really is not there's not a lot of bankable workloads here at tight end.
No, there's not.
All right. We got him.
Now I think we need to just focus on running back for a bit.
Yeah. Yeah. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more picks. We're done at tight end.
We're done at QB.
1, 2, 3, 4. I think we can even be done at wide receiver if we want.
How many do we have?
We have 6. I would say actually we could add one more stacking option with Watson if we want to get like Cobb or Stills.
Yeah.
And then just hammer running back.
Yep, that makes sense.
Yeah, so now we're definitely back in 0 RB territory here for running back, but lots of interesting names.
Well, there's guys that have a ton of contingent value, like Tony Pollard. I mean, Tony Pollard was going way ahead of this before the season. And while we were hoping he might have some standalone value, which he has none of, he still has just as much contingent value. It's not like there's a third running back who we expect to be involved. So he'll probably get drafted. Yep, he just went. You're welcome, Sean.
Yeah.
Harrison Evans is another guy I was going to mention. He just went too.
Wow.
I think for the team we like.
Who is Nick Nukes? Are you in the chat? Are you in the chat, Nick Nukes? Because I thought Darrington Evans was going to come back to us.
I thought he might too.
I can tell Nick is a sharp. But yeah, I think the nice thing with this, Kamara is going to hold it down. I think we can kind of blend out the rest of our portfolio. It'd be nice to get a guy who's going to catch a little passes, give us a high floor. We can get some of these more handcuff type options, try to win it here. But I actually like this team a lot, honestly.
Duke Johnson's interesting with the coaching change.
Yeah.
He got a little bit of run coming back from injury.
Smitty asks, is Devonta Freeman available? Yeah, his role keeps. No, he went.
Yeah, I would assume he would have gone. When did he go?
Let's see here. He went in the 10th, way back in the 10th.
Yep.
DLP Sports says, I like Hill as a contingent play. How are you feeling about that Falcons backfield?
Yeah, I think Hill's interesting. The problem with Hill is that Ito Smith's also involved as a receiver. So it's like not a situation where you would get all the value. So like Duke Johnson interests me more because I think Duke Johnson could have a ton of value if David Johnson were to go down. But he's probably the last of that class. So if we don't get Duke, I think Hill would be fine here. I think Keyshawn Vaughn is in play at this point.
Yeah.
He might get like Fournette's taking that job back, but McCoy was playing horrifically before he went down, and I don't think McCoy gets his job back. So, Brady's pass catching running back is pretty nice value in the 14th.
Yeah, I agree. Man, Keyshawn Vaughn got absolutely lit up on that one catch earlier in the game.
Yeah. Well, that was the one he fumbled. That's when Brady said that.
Yeah.
That's when he said, give me a running back and a fucking catch. And I thought, that doesn't bode well.
It really doesn't. All right. I'm stoked we get Duke because he fits perfectly with the Deshaun Watson here.
The other guy with pretty giant contingent value is Benny Snell.
Yeah.
Anthony McFarland's gotten a little bit more involved, but I think because we're getting Duke and hopefully he has a bit of a floor that we can take a big swing on Benny Snell. I mean, if Connor gets hurt, Snell's a smash. Yeah. It's easier to see us like how we won the league by taking Snell. I think he's got a substantially higher ceiling.
So we have competing things. We got someone, why not bet against Connor staying healthy? And we also have someone saying Brian Hill. I think I prefer Snell to Hill.
I prefer Snell too.
Yeah. I feel more confident about what Snell's role would be in the event of a Connor injury than I do what Brian Hill's role would be in the event of a Gurley injury.
Yeah, and he caught some passes when he had that run in week 1, when he had that run of playing time, I mean.
Yeah.
And then he also looked like way better because he was a little plottery last year.
Yeah. This looks exactly like a team I would have drafted in the beginning of the year.
It's like identical, which is that good? I'm not sure.
Yeah, I mean, I do like our the stacks. I mean, through the first half of the season, you wanted to be on Dallas and Seattle stacks, but if there are two teams that I think could fit the mold of like the second half version of those, I honestly think the Texans and the 49ers. Obviously, you would like to have Will Fuller in a Watson stack, but I mean, the 49ers are undervalued right now relative to their ceiling just because everyone's been injured.
I agree. And in fact, I wonder if he gets back to us, Coleman might be interesting as a late round throw here. With that running back stack equity we get with Garoppolo.
What do you think about Cobb and Stills. Cobb much higher up here in the rankings than Stills. I almost prefer Stills, I think, cost adjusted.
Yeah, especially if you could close it out with Stills. Stills looked really good this past week. He was a guy that jumped out to me when I was doing the stat chasing because he got targeted at a pretty high rate, given that he was running pretty deep routes, which was cool to see. And he's played well at various stretches over his career. Didn't look like he was going to be a huge part of the offense. But again, like things could get kind of shaken up now.
Yeah. What do you think optimally? We have 3 more picks position wise. So if we reserve one for another Texans pass catcher, that could be one of the tight ends, or it could be Stills or Cobb. If we reserve one for another running back, we do kind of have a luxury pick that we could, I would say, put at either QB or tight end.
I think we might want a little bit more wide receiver firepower if we can get it. I mean, that's part of the appeal of the modified Z running back is that you get those extra shots with the most highly variant position at wide receiver.
Yeah.
So if we can take some extra shots there, like, James Washington, we forget because the Steelers haven't played for a while, but even though Claypool looks awesome, he's like a dude who could provide a few spike weeks.
Yeah.
There's guys like that.
I do have a specialty running back that we could take in the last round who will be there as well. We might have been talking about him on our thread with Davis earlier, and I started to scoop him up in my leagues where he was available today.
Okay.
Do you know who I'm talking about?
Yeah, you're talking about Laird. I get it.
I got the inside scoop.
Yeah.
Gaskin is going to get busted for PEDs and Laird wreak havoc. No, I do not have inside information. Gaskin is a good kid. He's gonna.
Isn't he best buddies with Laird?
They are. I just because I actually do message with Laird, I don't want people to actually. I'm kidding.
I thought Gaskin was a really nice value in this draft.
Yeah. Well, we got him in our other draft too. I think it's again, people are kind of anchored to that name brand value. I mean, in the 8th round is nuts.
Yeah, right. We should have maybe taken him at like 701. I think he would have been fine.
Man, this is a nice draft, too, for a 0 RB build where you go Kelly and Mike Davis and Gaskin. And then he doubles up, even Justin Jackson kind of locking up that backfield. I like how he approached this 0 RB build.
Me too.
All right, we are almost up here. So we have these 2 picks and then the final pick in the draft.
Did Coleman go? He must have, right?
He did.
Yeah.
And Cobb just went, but I would say if we want, I think Stills would be a guy we grab here.
Yeah.
And then, so then the question really is like, is there a running back we like enough to take here, or do we? Yeah, quarterback really dried up.
And I don't think we need it. We went with Watson. We have that big San Francisco stack.
I mean, Edwards is interesting to me, especially in half-point PPR. Although we already have Dobbins.
Yeah, although I don't mind that. Like, because if we go, because it's not really a handcuff. You're already betting against an incumbent. Like, we could go.
We're betting against Ingram, right? Because
yeah,
I don't mind that, and we're making a bet on that offense.
Yeah, I don't mind that.
I mean, we're done at wide receiver. We're done at tight end. We're done at quarterback. So it really is if there's any of these other running backs we like.
Let me see. Penny could be interesting down the stretch.
Who do you prefer, Edwards or Penny?
I feel like Penny's a little bit more high upside.
All right, let's do Penny. It also, like, if we're going to make a big bet on Dobbins emerging, then might as well shift the chips to another backfield.
Yeah, I was actually a little bit more interested in McFarland with like the idea that you get because Snell was cheap and Dobbins was expensive.
Yeah.
But I kind of like Penny. Sean Siegel's been having us pick up Penny in a bunch of the 2 leagues we're in with him. So that always piques my interest.
Yeah. I like this team. And again, part of the reason too, when you think about best ball strategy at the onesie positions, we already knew like if you invest in a stud that you can get away with 2, but I think it's even more so in a shortened season because you're grabbing 3 because you're protecting yourself against injuries and volatility over a 16-game season. So if we're only playing for 10 weeks, I think you can get away with it even more. Although I guess we're still going to run into an issue where week 8, we're definitely starting Jimmy Garoppolo. In week 11, we're definitely starting Deshaun Watson.
Yeah, right. But there's only 18 rounds in this. You have to get some things right. So I think particularly with the way we built the team, we went so heavy on that 49ers stack. And then we did spend somewhat significant draft capital on Watson. This is a 2 quarterback build to me. I'm very comfortable with that. And I like when we just have Kamara as the elite running back. We're doing a modified 0 running back here. We need some scratch off tickets at running back. That's harder to find in this format, as I outlined in the beginning when I said we were not going to do this build. But if you are doing this build, I think it pairs well with 2 quarterback, 2 tight end, because then you unlock 2 additional roster spots that you can spend at running back.
Yeah, I agree. And again, I do think in these contests with the top heavy prize pools, like you have to go fragile in a couple places. And, we're making bets on a couple of offenses. We're invested in the Texans and the 49ers. I like how we're all in on those stacks. Like we're just saying, if the Texans and the 49ers are the Cowboys and the Seahawks of the first half, then we're going to have a really good chance to crash the leaderboard. This is the kind of modified 0 RB team I like, where we have different bets on short-term value, contingent value, pass catching value. Like it's just spread around nicely. And our wide receivers are studs. Not worried about that.
Who are we looking at as a last round pick? Because what about Gabriel Davis?
I don't mind Gabriel Davis.
Deep threat, getting more playing time. True underclassman. That's pretty exciting.
Yeah. He also has contingent value if Diggs or John Brown were to get hurt.
If John Brown were to get hurt, or he's actually already hurt.
Oh, he goes.
Oh, man. All right. Someone's in here.
Someone's in here.
Paris Campbell. That doesn't seem right.
No. Isn't he done for the season?
I think he's maybe not officially, but he looks unlikely to contribute much.
So the running back I was thinking about as our Mr. Irrelevant was DeAndre Washington.
Yeah, I'm good with that.
Who is the late round RB? Yeah, I just said him. DeAndre Washington. They're promoting him from the practice squad. The mentor, Darrell Williams, hasn't looked too good. I'm a little biased because DeAndre Washington was a guy I was drafting earlier in the offseason when it seemed like he would be the handcuff. But it does seem like that backup role to CEH is wide open.
Yeah, I mean, the mentor's not look good. And I was excited that we kind of correctly identified that he was running ahead of Washington in camp, and we moved over to the mentor, and that's all great.
Hang on, real quick, Pat. Because we are on the clock, we have 18 seconds. Someone also did bring up Jeff Wilson is still available.
That's interesting.
Yeah. Is DeAndre Washington? He's not even in the system, so we are going to have to take.
Oh my God! All right.
Yeah.
3, 2. I always want to time out with their last pick of the draft. That's a tradition.
No. I told you we're taking. I put Jeff Wilson in there.
No, I know, but we didn't actually draft him. We just let the clock run out.
Let's see here. Yeah. Oh, because my guy Siler is in the chat real quick. Pat and I will hang out. Should we do some chill out for a little bit and take some questions?
Chill out for a second.
I just wanted to mention this. So Siler had messaged me the other day and was asking me about maybe getting a Discord together to have people hang out and chat, whether you're following the Bankroll Challenge. Maybe we get our ship chasing guys in there. So I did put the link to the Discord in the YouTube show notes for this thing. So we're testing it out. I'm kind of new to Discord. I'm new to all this stuff. Gonna give it a shot. Siler put this together, working with him. So if you want to join us, we'll figure it out as we go. Pat and I have a couple Twitter DMs with our ship chasing guys that have been really fun. But it's kind of like limited, Pat. We kind of have them segmented in various spots. So
yeah,
this is something I've been messing around with. And Siler helped me put it together. So if you're on YouTube, check out the show notes, hop in that Discord, and we'll see how it goes. All right, here. Yeah, we didn't take Brian Hill. We didn't take. Yeah, I know. I can't believe DeAndre Washington not in the system. I guess it makes sense in that he's wasn't on an NFL team until a few days ago.
The tournament's called the Resurrection, and the hands reaching through the earth. I mean, that's basically DeAndre Washington's season right now. So it's a bit of a shame they didn't include him.
Yeah. Who, Pat, we were talking about earlier. We have this. I can't stop thinking about our team we have with Davis. And, this team is so good. Why are you laughing?
I'm just imagining you like out to dinner with Lauren, and she's going, "What? Where are you right now?" And you're just thinking about ship taking who you're going to start with. You're benching Antonio Gibson.
I mean, this. I'll just pull it up. Why not? I mean, might as well.
Yeah. Well, this was the team, if people remember that clip of Pete drunkenly reviewing the team, this is the team you roasted. You were so unhappy. You were like unhappy to the point I could tell Davis was a little bummed. You know, you just didn't like this team. And now it's like a pretty awesome team.
Yeah. You know, I was, in my defense, I was pretty hammered when we drafted it, but we might be true FFPC grinders. Right now we have Ronald Jones, Gibson, Kamara, Gaskin on our bench. It's Stephon Diggs and DeAndre Hopkins. I mean, that's just for fun. Like, it does seem like Diggs is going to play. However, I just wanted to illustrate how sick this team is.
It's sick. I love the Gabriel Davis stash. Like, our stashes are really fun here too. We got Duke Johnson. We picked him up off waivers for like $67. That was a nice ad. We're pretty excited. Yeah, this is pretty good. What's the deal with the Jets? Are they going to ruin this week?
I think so. And that honestly just reminded me, we probably should put in a bid dropping, or at least getting, I think we should swap out our defense. Yeah. So this is how the sausage gets made, guys. I'm going to defense right now. Dallas, that's not bad. Yeah, we'll look into this. All right. I'm just putting in a bid here. I'll figure it out later. Anyways, we had some questions here. I'm going to let Pat answer this question while I go to the bathroom real quick.
Yeah, I do have a job. I have a day job. I'm in energy here in New York City. Do like energy efficiency stuff. Oh, and Davis is we've gone on Davis's Sports Grid podcast several times. So I'm not sure why I wasn't take cast specifically. You'll have to ask Davis that. But we pod together, fairly regularly. So I can't control the questions. So this is going to sit up here until Pete gets back. But let's see. Dallas D, someone Willis says would be a good addition. Yeah, Dallas D would be pretty good. I'm kind of bummed out we're not going to get the Cardinals this week. Not going to lie. That would have been good. We kind of set ourselves up with a bunch of Cardinals defense and across a bunch of leagues. So
you want to get political, Pat? Your guys' unbiased takes on who win the presidency. Goodness.
Yeah, I mean, the odds are starting to look pretty strong that it'll be Biden, but we'll see.
I don't know, man. If you beat COVID as a 74-year-old obese man, I mean, that's the kind of resiliency I want from my president.
I don't think he's 74. He's saying he's extremely young. I think the jury's out on how old he is.
Schefter. Oh, I missed this one. I thought Schefter said an hour ago the Cars were heading to New York. So that's bullish.
Okay.
Let's see here.
Could you imagine plugging in Hopkins and Diggs to that already stacked lineup?
Oh, I can imagine, because I'm out to a nice dinner with my wife, and all I can do is think about this football guys championship team.
I mean, I feel like I'm not wrong.
Is Pat joining the Discord? I want to pick his dynasty brain. We'll get Pat in the Discord.
Yep, I'll be there.
He'll be there. Here's a good one. Thoughts on Gibson now with Kyle Allen after already semi breaking out? Think we could see a borderline RB1 rest of season. The thing that's crazy to me about Gibson is I thought he would lose work to Barber, not McKissick, but he like has that early down role. It's McKissick who's the problem right now for the bell cow role.
Yeah, he went in the rookie redraft that we did. He went right after J.K. Dobbins, which I think was like the 107 or something, maybe 106. So high. And he's the one running back that I'm not worried, because a lot of these guys we were talking about, like Swift and Dobbins, and seeing like that they were being involved as receivers, which was really nice, even more so than we had maybe thought. The one guy I'm not really worried about is Gibson, because he's literally a converted receiver. So he'll get that work eventually. I think from a dynasty perspective, we can be even more confident that that's the case. In redraft, we need it to happen a bit sooner, but I do think it will happen. I mean, it's J.D. McKissick. It's not like they brought him in this offseason. He's kind of a jag. I think they're kind of working this guy up, and Gibson, because of his athletic profile and his size and kind of his, not maybe a lot of polish at the running back position, kind of had natural comps to David Johnson in his rookie year. And I think similarly to Johnson, you could see him work up. And then by the end of the year, be an absolute smash. So I think there are, especially after this week, there's reasons to be very excited about Gibson.
Yeah, I did a show with Eric Beimfor on my channel earlier, the bankroll build for week 5. And I hadn't considered him for DFS this week, but he's $5,000 on DraftKings, and he just has this nice blend of floor. I mean, even last week with McKissick getting a lot of work, he still had 5 targets. So if you think that game could shoot out a little bit, last week we had Darrell Henderson, Ronald Jones, Mike Davis, these guys that were cheap running backs. This week we don't have as many of them. And Antonio Gibson at low ownership with his role is very intriguing to me this week as well.
He jumped out to me too, actually. I agree. I think you could see a pretty big workload for him. And it's not like McKissick is getting all of the pass catching work. It's just that he's stealing some of it. And we also have seen pretty wild swings in the usage within this committee. It's very much in flux. So if we were to see Gibson just have all the work this week, it wouldn't be shocking. So yeah, I like him too.
Nick was just asking. Yeah, I think he is flying under the radar. And to Pat's point, we saw, like, I was worried about Barber, and all of a sudden he just iced Barber like within a week. So him icing McKissick in a week would not be surprising in the least bit. And again, at 5,000, you're getting a floor and a ceiling and able to add in some other high priced studs. Nick mentioned Zeke here. So I do like that here. Have you done any other looking at DFS stuff this week, Pat?
I haven't gotten too deep into it yet, but I will say that James Conner jumped out to me as a guy that looked like he'd probably be pretty low owned.
Yep.
And so, yeah, he's someone that I would like to fit in as much as I can. And he's kind of in that range where he's not like super cheap, but he's not going to kill you with the salary either.
Yeah, I was looking at that too. I mean, it looks like CEH, Zeke, Mike Davis, those are your kind of really chalky guys. And I kind of liked both guys from that game. Connor, Brandon Thorpe over at ETR has the Steelers as one of the bigger offensive line mismatches. So I like that. I mean, I don't mind Miles Sanders either, just because his workload and his pass catching floor is so high. And also from like a correlation standpoint, it's harder to play Connor with then someone on the Eagles. Like, I'm just not excited with the pass catchers on the Eagles. Whereas if I play Sanders, playing Juju or Deontay Johnson is actually very attractive to me.
That is interesting. And Sanders has been, I mean, he can get there through the receiving game. He's not ceding like a lot of receiving work to Boston Scott. So yeah, you can have that be a little bit more high scoring and the Eagles defense can help you out by not being very good, I like that call.
Here's one for you. What were Pat's quarantine activities? Obviously, Pete was an esports thought leader. What were you doing during quarantine, Pat?
Well, I did a lot of dynasty startups.
Yeah.
So I've got more leagues than I ever have, and they last forever. So.
well, the funniest thing was, so I did this one startup. Leone put together a best ball dynasty startup, and I was like, sold. We'll do the draft. It's it's done with it. And then they were like, we're gonna do a spinoff. Like, what was the one you ended up doing? Why did I bow out of it?
Because it was a slow auction.
It was a slow auction. That's why. I was like, nah.
That's a slow auction, which was honestly like the best. I mean, if you're in the middle of a pandemic and you need something to kill time, I recommend a slow auction because you only put up, there's only like 12 to 15 players up on the block at a time. And when you bid and you're the high bidder, it might take 12 hours for that player to clear to you. And then your money's locked up. At certain points, you're actually begging people to outbid you so that your money frees up and then you can bid on someone else. I ended up screwing it up. I'd never done one before. Realized I didn't have enough salary to build a competitive team. I punted. I bought like 3 people's 2022 entire draft classes and like 2 people's 2021. So it's like one of the most rebuild startup teams I've ever done. The most. People went super one way or the other in terms of win now versus win later. Davis is with me in the rebuild.
How is Sean doing in that league? Because you guys were all impressed with his draft.
He's doing pretty good. He's not. So there's a few guys that just went. Leone and a couple other people went very much win now. And I have a couple guys at the top of the leaderboard. I have their 2022 picks. So I'm happy to see them winning now, but hopefully they'll crash and burn after the season, and then I'll get high 2022 picks. But Sean right now is, let's see, he's in 4th place with a very balanced build for the, he's got a nice, he usually sells off his picks, but then he builds rosters that are loaded with young guys who are going to increase in value. That's like his typical strategy. So it's a classic Sean Siegel team, very deep. Yeah. He's in 4th.
Nick, when are we doing a Discord Among Us game? Well, here's the deal. I literally just announced the Discord like 12 minutes ago. So we're gonna let that thing build itself out a little bit, then we can start figuring out about listener leagues. It's good to know that we're already chomping at the bit for a Discord.
People in the comment, Pete, this Discord sucks.
Yeah, where is it? No, it's literally brand new. I was on a call with Siler right before I hopped on with Pat to figure it out.
I literally didn't know about it.
Favorite esports to follow. Look, I was during quarantine. I was getting up at 8 a.m. to watch LPL, League of Legends, watch little Chinese boys and South Korean boys play, whatever. I literally, what is it? World of Warcraft? I don't even know what the game is now. I guess it's League of Legends.
Yeah. You're too good. You're too good for an auction draft, though.
Yeah. Those were crazy times. We were playing poker, playing esports, DFS. Here was the thing about esports. So, Pat, like in League of Legends DFS, it was the correlation. So you know how like a correlation in NFL, like quarterback to wide receiver, it's like a 0.3 correlation, like pretty strong. In League of Legends DFS, the correlations of the winning teams and the members among each other, like positionally, was like a 0.9 R. So you just had to jam in 4 players from one team and 3 from the other. Like that's the only thing that mattered. And for about 2 weeks, people didn't know this. And those 2 weeks were incredible. And then everybody caught up. And then it got harder.
So you really were a thought leader.
I was a thought leader for a little bit there. I know. I didn't even know that the League of Legends World Championship is on. What am I doing with this football stuff?
Let's jam in 4 guys. Shit, if you had told me that, I would have been over in the League of Legends streets. I didn't know it was that easy.
So he says, I've asked 2 questions to try and get Pat to talk about something other than fantasy. It didn't work. LOL. Pat, give them a nugget.
Yeah, I'm dying to talk about my day job, Smitty. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah.
Tell them about your fetishes. You told me you're really into tickling.
Yeah, I don't want to get into that here, Pete. That's a little
That was on my mind because
Tickling.
there was I forget how it come up. I was talking with my buddies and because there's this documentary on HBO about tickling, and it kind of has. Did you watch the "Don't Fuck with Cats" documentary?
Yeah, dude, that was pretty wild.
Yeah. So this is similar to that in that you go into a documentary expecting one thing, and then you realize it's this whole other rabbit hole similar to "Don't Fuck with Cats." That's how this documentary is on Netflix called Tickled. If you want a fucked up evening, go watch Tickled on HBO.
Really? It's fucked up?
Oh, yeah. Oh, it's even more so fucked up than "Don't Fuck with Cats," honestly.
What? That is extremely fucked up. All right. I'm actually pretty intrigued.
No, it's not more fucked up because that involves murder, but it's close.
Okay. All right.
Here you go. Pat, would you ever say goodbye to your day job? Go full-time fantasy, full-time tout?
Yeah, I mean, it would depend on. I like the mix that I have right now. I do like my job, and it's flexible. I've always worked remote, and so the company's not based in New York. So I have had the ability to kind of get stuff done, and then if I want to do some stuff on my own, I can also make that work as long as I get my work done. That's what people care about. So it would honestly come down to money, I think, and not wanting to change my lifestyle too dramatically.
Make Pat an offer he can't refuse is what he's saying. Pete, Pat, what are your seasonal beer preferences? Do you ever get into stouts, or is Modelo Negro as dark as you get? This is outside of my comfort zone, Modelo Negro. Pat makes fun of me for my very limited beer palate. So if you want to hear about cool, interesting moonshine speakeasy beers, I'll let Pat field this one.
Yeah, I mean, I really do like stouts a lot. I like sours; those are great in the summer. I like saisons a lot as a kind of summer beer. This time of year, I feel like some of the IPAs are really nice, like the New England style IPAs are really, those juicy ones are excellent. We have some really, really good sours and really, really good IPAs around us. So that's kind of what I'm grabbing to right now. That's like what Brooklyn, I think, does best. But a good stout's always nice. Right now, I've been drinking these like rice lagers. Pete, I think you actually might like these. They're like,
they sound Japanesey.
They're like hipsters making Japanese beer.
Okay.
But it's pretty good. They're very crisp and refreshing. The little bit of like kind of juiciness to them, but they're very easy drinking.
Yeah, I did like, I am growing. I really got into sours this summer after having not really considered them. But like Lauren and I tried so many different ones. Like we spent so much like buying a 4-pack that cost $28, and then we're like, we don't like this. And then, oh no, we love this one. So yeah, I got really into sours. I still, no matter how hard I try, I can't get into the IPAs. I'll do stouts, I'll do sours. I've even liked some of the saisons I've had, but the double IPAs, the IPAs, they don't do it for me.
Yeah, I love them.
How does Pat feel about being a modern day sex symbol? Hey, Rick, how about me, dude? What the fuck?
Pete, you blew it. You posted that picture of me on the recliner, and now it's over for you.
I'm going to let Pat answer a dynasty question while I go get a Coors Light, because I need to bring this stream back to its roots.
No, I don't think you fleeced yourself. I think, okay, so if you're in win now mode, you move the 2021 first and second, 2022 first and second. Well, if you're in win now mode, that's a late 2020 first and second. Michael Thomas is a guy that I think will be pretty strong next year. So your 2022 pick could be late. This draft class, I'm a bit torn on how to handle, because people are excited about it, but at the same time, I don't know if I'll feel as confident in our pre-draft evaluations as I typically do. So the way I mean, this far out, who knows? But the way to play next year's draft class might actually be to unload first and then try to get back in later, and just take a lot of swings at that class. But I don't mind moving out of the 2021 draft class if you can get a blue chip guy back. So I actually think that's fine. And if anything, maybe you underpaid.
That's right, Mr. Educational. Got some Southern Tier pumpkin in my hand right now. IPAs are too much. That's right. They're too much. What? IPAs were created to help preserve beer when it was, going across ships and hundreds of miles. And now we're supposed to believe that that's actually good, Pat. I mean, get out of here. Wow, we have entered the portion of the show where we are getting straight up season-long trade questions. This means we need to wind down, but we will indulge this. Lock it for James Robinson plus Devontae Parker. Depending on team needs, that strikes me as like a pretty fair trade.
Yeah, I kind of want the Lockett side of this. I think if I can. Like in these, so just so you're aware, like I am in one half PPR redraft league. It's the only redraft league I'm in that allows trading. In that league, the benches are shallower because it's like a home league. So I would typically want the Lockett side of this because I get another bench spot freed up. The waiver wire is filled with guys, and I'm consolidating points into less roster spots. And I'm betting on myself to find another running back like James Robinson later on.
Yeah, it all depends. I mean, if you have teams like me where you didn't draft any running backs, this James Robinson, Devontae Parker side might be looking pretty good.
yeah.
I haven't had a hazy milkshake IPA. I don't mind stouts. I haven't. I mean, it sounds.
You'd hate it.
I feel full just reading that sentence. Like I feel bloated.
That's like worse for you. You want like Pete wants like the sessionist IPA of all time. The most
Coors Light.
He wants the Coors Light.
I just don't want to have. I want to drink. Here's my thing. Like I understand the appeal of like IPAs and trying lots of beers. Like that's how my approach to sour was. Is similar to like wine tasting, right? Like I don't necessarily just want to house a bottle of wine. I want to like try some different stuff. With beers, I want to have 6 beers. And a lot of these beers, I can't have 6 milkshake IPAs. I just can't, and I don't want to. So that's my relationship.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to do like 1 or 2, and then we're going to wrap this up here. How scared are we of Bills Tennessee being moved back? Fairly scared. I would say like 40% scared after today.
Yeah, I think I'm like 50% scared. I would put the odds at like close to 50-50, I think.
Yeah.
Because what you're betting on another positive COVID test, right? Or we're hoping that doesn't happen, but I think the odds are decently high that happens.
Yeah. I mean, at this point, I'm more worried about Jets Cardinals. But I need to pull up that Schefter tweet. I missed that. So, yeah, everything's in flux. I will just say, I know some people are in leagues, where now we're doing contingency players. Your commissioner will let you put in like, hey, I want to start Josh Allen. If that game doesn't happen, Ryan Fitzpatrick is obviously take advantage of that if you have it. But if you're in some of these other leagues, I know like Scott Fishbowl, he doesn't have, it's too much to manage backup players. So you're just having to treat it like a game time decision. And I think we're going to have some tough decisions like that in our FFPC leagues where, again, we were just talking about that ship taking team where we're loaded. And it's like, you're telling me I can choose between DJ Chark and Stephon Diggs. Of course I prefer Diggs in a vacuum. But risk adjusted, we might need to play DJ Chark and not risk it.
Yeah, I know. And having it on Tuesday makes it harder because you're not going to get you're out on a limb. If the game ends up getting canceled, you're screwed. So what's the Monday night game?
Well, we have 2 now. We have Denver and New England, and we have the Chargers and the Saints.
Yeah, so if you could get any cheap pieces there, and then you're at least, that way we might know by late Monday if the Tuesday game's getting pushed back to another week, and then you just plug in a guy so you don't take a 0. But even that's a little thin when you're have a guy like DJ Chark that you could have played.
Yeah.
So I'm leaning on. I'm actually pretty torn right now. But if we're sitting here where we are Sunday, and I have a decision like Chark versus Diggs, probably go with Chark. But if it's a wider gap than that, then maybe try to stash a guy that's playing Monday that would at least give me like 5 points and gamble.
Yeah, and I think what Pat's saying, and I agree, it's very context specific. So like looking at some of our FFPC teams, we played a team that played the Bears defense and Scotty Miller. They're sitting at 5 points here early. To me, that screams I want floor in my starting decisions. If they have teams that have popped off, and the nice thing too is like hopefully you have maybe some Sunday night football or Monday night guys that you can then break ties against, of seeing like, how do I look after the 1 p.m. slate? How do I look after the 4 p.m. slate? Really see what your opponent has and what you need. And again, some leagues you're more interested in points. Pat and I have teams where points are what we're looking at. We have some where record is where we're more concerned. So you have to make those context specific decisions. Look at what your opponent's doing. Look at how your playoff standings work. And then it's just your own risk assessment if you want to clackety clack and roll the dice. I mean, I would put the true odds for that game happening Tuesday night after today with no positive tests. I would say it's like 40 to 50% that it happens is what our true odds are.
That feels right to me. And I think another thing is like, when do your waivers run? Because we're going to make decisions in FFPC on Sunday, and we'll at least have some better information then. You're going to have to, in some leagues, decide if you're going to drop a guy to pick up like a shitty Monday Night Football player. Maybe you don't have a drop that feels very good, and so it's tough. You might just say, you know what, I'm gonna bench, John Brown, or I think at a guy like John Brown's level, I think you just find another option. If you're looking at Diggs or Josh Allen, then I get wanting to play those guys.
Yeah. All right, guys, this has been fun. I'm going to try to keep these Friday afternoon happy hour streams going. Pat and I have lots of stuff going on. If you guys aren't following Ship Chasing, I think you would enjoy it. Even if you're not playing mid or high stakes fantasy football, Pat's Stat Chasing show that goes up on Tuesdays on YouTube is just such a great primer for everything you're doing. I have that in the show notes here on YouTube. You guys head over to Stat Chasing, which is under the Ship Chasing YouTube channel. You guys can find all of that there. We mentioned Pat's show, Establish the Edge, with Leone, all of his stuff at Establish the Run. I am here with my Bankroll Challenge shows, Friday Builds with great DFS players every week, and then my review show on Friday or a Monday. Lots of stuff going on. We appreciate you guys coming out. Good luck this weekend. Stay up on the news. Pat, any final words?
No, this is fun. I think I'll do another resurrection later on.
Yeah.
Got those draft juices flowing again. There
you go. All right, guys. We'll see you next time. And if you want to join the Discord, that there will be a listener league for, dude, check that out in the show notes. We'll see you guys next time.